Let's talk about CJ and the Houston Texans. This team continues to get better in the offseason. This is not an April Fool's video. Stefon Diggs has been traded to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans needed major wide receiving help, and they get it from Stefon Diggs. They make a major trade with the Buffalo Bills. They get him for a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick. This is a great move for the Houston Texans. Now, a couple weeks ago, they completely traded out the first round with the Minnesota Vikings to get some extra picks in the future, and now we know why. So it makes it very interesting to see what they're going to be able to do in the NFL draft right now. CJ just had an all-time great rookie season this season. He did miss some time with a concussion that he suffered against the New York Jets, but on the season, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He threw for 4,108 passing yards, 23 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions. And that was with guys like Nico Collins, who proved that he can be a #1 wide receiver. On the season, he had 80 catches, 1,297 receiving yards. That was the 8th most receiving yards in the NFL and 8 receiving touchdowns. And Tank Dell missed significant time after he broke his leg against the Denver Broncos, but up to that point, 47 receptions, 709 receiving yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns, and he averaged 15 yards a catch. This is great for the Houston Texans because you're bringing over Stefon Diggs, who was very frustrated with the Buffalo Bills. And I will say this about Stefon Diggs. This is a guy in the past that has caused a lot of problems in the locker room because he wants to go out there and he wants to win. But you're still getting a prime wide receiver. In the last couple of years, since 2018, he's easily broken over 1,000 yards, 107 receiving yards this season, 1,183 receiving yards on the season, 8 receiving touchdowns. He is still that franchise playmaking wide receiver in the NFL. And you're putting the best weapons around CJ as possible, because that's not the only move that this team has made this season. They also went out there and they got Joe Mixon as well. Now, Joe Mixon is still a solid running back to have. 257 carries on the season for 1,034 receiving yards. 1,034 rushing yards on the season. That was the 8th most rushing yards in the NFL and 9 rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 4 yards a carry. They're loading this roster up because they can do that because CJ is still in that rookie deal. This is a Houston Texans team that came out of nowhere. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL that last year with Deshaun Watson before he decided to sit out, then especially when they traded Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns. But it seems like right now the Houston Texans, they're cashing in on those draft picks. They were able to go out there and draft CJ with their own first-round pick. Then they were able to go up there and trade up in last year's draft class to get Will Anderson. So this offense is already looking like one of the best offenses in the NFL just off of what they were able to do last season with Bobby Slowick. And keep this in mind as well. The first couple of games of the season, this offensive line was decimated. Laramie Tunsil, he missed some time early on. Titus Howard missed a lot of time this season. If that offensive line can stay healthy and CJ can continue to play at this level, the Houston Texans are going to be hell to deal with in the AFC. We could talk about this team being a possible Super Bowl contender in the next couple of years, if not for this upcoming season. And I'm not trying to over-exaggerate this. That's how great CJ was this season. This is a team that made the NFL playoffs. It dominated the Cleveland Browns, one of the best defenses in the NFL this season. The kid did not look like a typical rookie. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, like I mentioned before. And you continue to put pieces around this kid. They can do that because he's on that rookie deal. And it goes back to what happened a couple of years ago. We've seen teams go out there and load up rosters when the quarterback's on his rookie deal. We're entering year 2. Usually quarterbacks struggle in year 2, or they just go out there and they completely take off again. I could easily see CJ taking off again with this team. And you still have Dalton Schultz, who you just signed to a 3-year deal. Dalton Schultz on the season has 635 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. And don't get it twisted. He used him a lot, especially on 2nd and 3rd down when he needed to go to a guy and get a big play. So you have Stefon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell. That's easily another great season for CJ if he could continue to keep this play up with Bobby Slowick calling plays and with that offensive line staying fully healthy as well. We'll see if Kenyon Green can develop to the next level. So far, he's still been very raw on the field, but he shows major potential at the guard position. And Shaq Mason is a very good veteran guard to have as well. If the offensive line can stay healthy from tackle to tackle, this could be one of the scariest offenses in the NFL. But not only did they just add in guys on the defensive side of the ball, they also went on the offensive side of the ball, they went to the defensive side of the ball and added some pieces as well. This team went out there and they added Danielle Hunter after Jonathan Gennard decided to leave this team. Jonathan Gennard went to the Minnesota Vikings after he just led this team in sacks. But you're getting Danielle Hunter, who fits the system of D'Amico Ryans, 16.5 sacks this season, 4 forced fumbles. And then you also add in Nico Autry as well, who had 11.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. You take him away from the Tennessee Titans. And like I mentioned a couple seconds ago, they have Will Anderson as well, who was phenomenal this season. Only had 7 sacks on the season, but do not just look at that sack count number. This is a guy that was able to go out there, stop the run, keep the quarterbacks in play, and he made Lamar Jackson's life hard early on in the season in week 1. This is a guy, Will Anderson, that could easily have double-digit sacks in the season. He was just not able to go down there and sack the quarterback, but he had a very high pressure rate for a rookie and had one of the highest pressure rates in the NFL for any defensive lineman. This is a Houston Texans team that is stacked right now, and those linebackers are going to continue to get better as well. D'Amico Ryans specializes in linebackers. Look at what he did with the San Francisco 49ers when he was a defensive coordinator. Look at what he was able to do with the Houston Texans when he was a draft pick with the Houston Texans. He was one of the better linebackers for that season. Then you look at what he was able to do at Alabama, one of the best Alabama linebackers of all time. So we all know that he specializes in coaching those guys up. So I expect for those linebackers to get better basically overnight. I look at a guy like Christian Harris. I like his game. He's very young. You also have Henry To'oTo'o. We'll see if he can get better as well. But Christian Harris is a very interesting linebacker to have with this team. Then you look at the secondary. Derek Stingley Jr. was phenomenal this season. That's the all-pro corner. He is phenomenal. He missed some time this season dealing with hamstring injury, but when he came back, he looked amazing. His rookie season, he didn't have the best season because Lovie Smith did not know how to coach him up. But now you have him and D'Amico Ryans. We saw what he was able to do this season. They put him more in man coverage situations. He was going out there and he was clamping up some of the best wide receivers in the game. And then you also have Jeff Okudah as well, who in the past has shown a lot of good with the Atlanta Falcons if he can stay healthy. He was a bust with the Detroit Lions, but I trust for him to be better with this Houston Texans team. And then you have a guy like Jalen Petrie. Very good his rookie season. Sophomore season, not as much. They benched him. He did have some times he got benched this season. Hopefully he could be better because he showed that he could be a very good safety at times. But you have Jimmy Ward, who was the best safety with this team this season. But overall, this team is phenomenal. I like what they're doing. I like the guys that they're bringing in. And they're just bringing in very good linebackers as well. You bring in Azeez Al-Shakir as well. Al-Shahar. Excuse me if I'm saying his name wrong, but you bring him over as well, who's a very good linebacker, 84 tackles on the season, 2 sacks. Just let me know how to say his name in the comment section below if I butchered his name. But this is the Houston Texans team. They look very good on paper. I always say this, paper doesn't always win. But they had to go out there and make some major moves. Look at what the Tennessee Titans just did. They're trying to rebuild the right way with Will Levis. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. They're no slouches. They were 8-3 this season. But you're giving C.J. Stroud the best weapons around him, and you're putting the best pieces around this kid. This is easily one of the better teams in the AFC, and they're still young. Expect for this team to continue to get better over the next couple of years, and expect for this team to be a force for this upcoming season. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Houston Texans trading for Stefon Diggs? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. One of the craziest offseason of all time. God bless. Peace.